Welcome to the Rural Revival Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Larson. Today we're with Eddie and Julie Flores of Nursing Back to Life, which follows their restoration of an old house in Lincoln, Kansas that is now their home. It all started when a free house in Julie's hometown went viral, and they decided they just might be the ones that wanted to save it. Eddie and Julie are sharing how they got the house and moved it to its new location and are taking us through their restoration process. You'll learn how they repurposed different elements of the house, why this was important for their community, and how this project has given them a fresh perspective on small towns and inspired them to get involved in the community. Before we get started, I want to let you in on our latest project. We're launching a book, and we want you to be a part of it. Imagine all the rural revival stories you love now all together in the form of a beautiful coffee table book. Over the years, we've collected so many great stories, and we know there are so many more out there. So we're asking you to submit your rural revival story to be included in our new book. We want this to be a source of inspiration that you can keep going back to, or that you can give to help inspire someone else's story. We're accepting submissions now through May 31st, so go to the show notes for a link where you can submit your rural revival story. I'm so excited to hear from you. And now, here we go with Eddie and Julie Flores. Okay, well, we're here with Eddie and Julie Flores of Lincoln, Kansas, with their beautiful, restored, historic home, Nursing Back to Life.
Yes.
Guys, thanks for being on the podcast.
Oh, yes. Thanks for having us. We're excited.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about you. Is Lincoln your hometown?
For me, I grew up here. For Eddie, not so much.
Yep, I'm about 1,700 miles away. I grew up on the West Coast in California, so it was definitely a big adjustment coming to a small town of Lincoln, Kansas. But I'm adjusting very well, and I mean, I couldn't be more happier than where we're at right now.
Yeah. Did you ever think you would live in Kansas?
No, there was no way. Yeah, probably being,
It wasn't in the plan.
Yeah, every trip to a beach or every trip, to LA or San Francisco, I probably would never have imagined that I'd be in the middle of nowhere, but I couldn't be, more happy where I'm at now, especially, making memories now with my family and still being able to go and have ties. All my family's there in California. Yeah. So it's still nice to know that I can go back and visit and still kind of get that, old memories coming back to life.
Oh, yeah. And now bring your family there.
Yes.
Yeah, super cool.
They can see where I grew up, and, my parents still live in the same house that I was born in. So it's nice to go back and show them where I grew up.
Good. So you did grow up here, Julie.
Yeah. I grew up probably, it takes us maybe 10 or 15 minutes to get to my house that I grew up in from here. So yeah,
okay.
Not very far.
But you moved away for a while.
Yeah. So in 2009, I moved away to the Kansas City area and then stayed there until we moved back here in 2022. So for quite a while, that was the way. I made trips back, obviously, to see family and stuff. But no, my permanent residence was far away from here.
Yeah. And was it your dream to move back here, or was this kind of a surprise?
No, I never. If somebody would have asked me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there's no way. The day I moved out, I thought that was going to be it. Not that I didn't like it, but it was one of those, I just
not on your radar.
No, I didn't ever think that this could be forever home. It just wasn't anything that was in the plan. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
How did this house come into the picture?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know how exactly to say this.
It's a loaded
story,
question.
Yeah.
So COVID changed the world. Obviously, everything got different. So Eddie's a nurse, and so he was working for a hospital in Olathe, Kansas City area where we were living, and he worked at that job for
about 5 years or so.
5 or 6 years. And was getting real burned out, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And he was even getting more burned out. And we had our daughter in 2018. We had our son in 2022, and we had our next daughter in 2021. So at one point in time, we had a 2-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a newborn.
Wow.
They're all back to back. And so that was challenging enough for us, but Eddie was working 5 days a week roughly.
Wow.
And as a nurse, you're supposed to work 3. So he was working 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
He'd get called in, and it was just, he was getting real burned out. It was real hard at home because he wasn't there a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So we made the leap, and he decided to do travel nursing,
Okay.
which actually opened up a lot of doors for him to A, make more money, and B, just go to new places, meet new people. Travel nursing is pretty strict. You only work your 3 days a week,
Okay.
but you still get pretty good pay for it. And so that was a huge bonus for us because we wanted the 3 days a week. So
Yeah.
long story, he was doing this, and he actually decided to take a contract that was only about an hour away from Lincoln, here, our
Okay.
hometown. So we actually decided to load the kids up, and we moved here for a month.
Oh, wow.
In January of 2022, we just decided to rent out my grandparents' farmstead and stayed there for a month. And while we were there, my parents actually showed us this house that we're currently
wow.
in.
Okay.
It was being offered for free at the time. And so they were like, hey, there's a house in town that's for free. They didn't even want us to buy it. Like, nobody wanted anyone to buy this house. I mean, that's how bad this house was. Like, anybody that went to look at it was more or less just curious about what was on the inside. It was one of those houses where, like, you just go to the house because you're nosy and you want to see what's in it. So my parents brought us here, and they're like, hey, we should go look at the free house. So we're like, okay. And we walked in, and I knew it was ours.
Really?
He didn't.
I had hesitation. I was
Okay.
like, there's no way. I don't see us
Yeah.
even buying this because, I mean, just the layout and everything, I didn't see it fitting our family, but I'm
Okay.
very a visual person. So if I don't see it right away, I just kind of block it out, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how this is happening. But, you know, seeing now what we're at now, I'm like, okay, yeah, this was a good decision, and I'm glad I didn't just back down and say, no, we can't do this. But
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
definitely some hesitation, but
Okay.
also at the same time, you know, like I said, being a very visual person, Julie was like, well, you know, can't you see our kids growing up here? Or, you know, like with the staircase, you know, our daughter, you know, going to prom, coming down in her prom dress. So there were just certain memories that, you know, I could just see happening at this house. And that's like kind of what drew me and persuaded me more to say, you know what, let's just do it. So.
Well, and it was being offered for free, which sounds like a really good deal. So it's like, hey, free house. Like,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
We can do this.
Yeah.
The stipulation was that you had to pick it up and move it to a
Okay.
new location because the land where the house sat was bought by the hospital. And the
Oh.
hospital wanted to build a parking lot there. And so they were going to tear the house down, which is why this house has a lot of historical significance to Lincoln. The very first mayor of Lincoln actually built this house.
Oh, wow.
And, or one of the first mayors. I don't think he was the first, but Mr. Grubb. And so there's a lot of historical significance to the house itself. So people decided, hey, let's not tear it down. Let's try to find somebody that might pick it up and move it somewhere. So that's why
I
they
love
started
that.
offering it for free. Was
Okay.
because you're going to have the expense
Yep.
of picking it up and moving it, which isn't necessarily the cost of a house, but, you know, it's a cost. And then you
Absolutely.
have to renovate the whole thing. So
Yes.
so the fact that it was being offered for free, actually, it had been offered for free for a couple of years. And the lady that was trying to get it sold, quote unquote, she got in touch with a couple of social media sites, cheap old houses.
Yes.
And for the love of old houses, they
Yes.
both have Instagram accounts and Facebook accounts. And they actually featured this house
Oh, cool.
in February of 2022. So we saw it in January, kind of fell in love with it. It went viral in February. And so a house that was once like gonna be torn down now had thousands of people
Interesting.
emailing and
Wow.
calling. And yeah, so like it actually really blew up before we even kind of had a chance to claim it,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Okay.
So we were thrown in. They did this, I wouldn't call it an interview, like a survey.
It was
They
just like
sent
an
out a
application
survey.
process.
An
Oh,
application,
okay.
there you
Yeah.
go. So they sent out applications to anybody who said that they wanted it. And they kind of had some requirements like, do you have enough money to be able to actually make this something that isn't just going to sit here and
Yes.
do nothing? Like, are you interested in keeping it in the county? Like, are you focused on rural living? And do you want to kind of keep it here? Because it is significant to Lincoln. So there were questions, and
Yeah.
we just got thrown in with the application. So we submitted an application, and April 11th of 2022, we got the call that said, we want to give you a big old free house.
Wow.
I said, okay.
So how did you talk Eddie into this?
I said, hey, let's move. I don't know. We did. We talked a lot about it because obviously we were taking our kids out of like everything they ever knew.
Yeah.
But at the time, like our kids were 3, 2, and 1. And so they were still pretty little. They weren't in school. Like, we didn't have ourselves established in a school system down there. He was travel nursing. So, like, he could get a job almost anywhere, which was really nice. I was working from home, doing some remote work. And so I could really work from anywhere. And I don't know. And we just talked about the benefits of, like, we didn't live in a super good part of Olathe. We lived in downtown. We lived in an old house. We lived in a 1930s house.
Oh, cool.
Down there. So we were used to the old houses, and we had torn down a wall in that house, and we had put in new doors, and like we had done some stuff that we felt like we were a little handy. We weren't anything more than that, but so I don't know. We just kind of talked about the benefits of having our kids here and being close to family. And like, we felt like we were missing out on a lot of things being here. I have 20 nieces and nephews. And so like starting, we just talked about this last night, starting next year, there will be a graduation every year for the next 12 years for my nieces and nephews. Someone will graduate. So like coming back for those and like coming back for anniversaries and birthdays and like just the things that you have when you're around family and around people you care about. And I'm sure that we would have established something like that had we stayed there. Like, everybody's bound to kind of find their village, but we already had one here. And we just, I don't know, we were just called to come back here. And
to say we were comfortable in Olathe, I could say that we were. I think that like she was saying earlier, that COVID shined the light on a lot of things for us. I think it shined a light on a lot of people.
It changed our perspective.
It did. It did. And I think with us, you know, we were comfortable because I had a steady job. You know, I mean, being a nurse and only having to work 3 days a week, it was just steady for us. But once I hit traveling and knew there was other parts of, you know, Kansas City or other parts of Kansas out there that I could work and knew I could get a job, that kind of helped me knowing like, okay, no matter where we're at, you know, if we're in Lincoln, if I need to go and, you know, get a job in Kansas City, I can. It's, you know, being a nurse, that's, you know, I had that available, you know, those available jobs kind of anywhere. So it was just getting out of our comfort zone, but it wasn't necessarily saying we were getting out of our comfort zone and doing something new. Because like you said, we had a village already here. It was just more getting out of our comfort zone of being, it was just us 5. I mean, for the longest time, I mean, it started out with, you know, Julie and I, then we had our firstborn and it was just us 3. We were making multiple trips to, you know, California because at that time, you know, it was pre-COVID.
Didn't cost a lot.
It was just
That's
airplane.
So, and then, you know, and then our son was born during COVID and it just, I mean, we pretty much just became just us 4. We were in the house. We couldn't go anywhere. It was just like, okay, what are we doing? We're missing out on a whole bunch. Because being in a big city, that the world stopped. But, you know, being in a small town like this, their worlds didn't stop. I mean, they kept going. And that's what we were missing on. That was a lot of it, you know, they were still getting together for parties and just celebrating together as family. And that's what we miss. We both come from a big family and we remember growing up, you know, seeing cousins, aunts and uncles, brothers and sisters. So being able to come back and experience that now on a regular basis, I mean, we wouldn't change it for the world.
It kind of gave you the push you needed.
Yes.
So once you got the house, was there like a timeline where you had to get it moved by a certain date?
So in the original agreement, oh gosh, I don't know how deep you want to get into this, but they were trying to give this house away. And there were, we'll call them some historically passionate people in town.
Okay.
Kind of like I had said before, that didn't want this house to get demolished. There's like some people in town that were very adamant that this house not get torn down, which is great. Like, I'm glad that those people exist. So one of those ladies in particular, she actually put forth her own money to the hospital foundation. And it was just a small amount of money, but she said, here, I'm going to give you this amount of money. Please let this buy us some time so that we can find somebody. So basically what she did is she gave the hospital foundation X amount of money and said, we need until December 31st of 2022 to find somebody. And if we don't find somebody, you can keep your money that I gave you and you can tear the house down. But it was kind of one of those, like, she really just wanted to like incentivize them not tearing it down right away, if that makes sense. So like, that's what they really were on a time crunch. They had until December 31st of 2022 to get the house moved. Other words, it would get demolished. We saw the house in January of 2022. So at the beginning of the year, they finally awarded us the house in April. So
Yep.
basically we had from April to December to figure it out.
So did you have any idea where you were going to go with it?
No idea.
We had
Okay.
no idea.
No idea. So we had a spot. Since I grew up here, there is actually, I worked for a lady growing up that had a vineyard that
cool.
was right across from the church where I grew up, and I loved it. It was my very first job I ever had. It was outdoors. A, I loved that part. B, I loved it. It was so fun. Well, her husband passed away, and it kind of went into disrepair, and I really wanted to move our house to that vineyard location
Oh,
because
wow.
it had so much potential, and we can talk later too, but like our goal with moving here isn't just this house. Like we want to do other stuff, like
Okay.
whether that's like a venue of some sort or a business or like just we have our sights set on some bigger things, and like really helping small towns grow, and our small town in particular, obviously, like we have such a passion for. And so
Yeah.
anyways, with that vineyard location, we saw a lot of potential for future growth, and so we tried to get the lady to sell it to us, and by darn, she wouldn't. So so when we actually did get a call, we were still living in Olathe, and we got a call I think it was May of 2022, and she said, "No, I will not sell." She said, she will not sell.
Wow.
So that's
you
okay.
knew that was out.
So we knew that was out. It was already May. We had a trip planned to California for the month of July. We were going to go for the entire month of July
wow.
with all of our kids, and we had this planned even before we got the house. We had this planned like a year in advance, and so we basically had until July to figure out what we were doing, because once we came back, we were moving here. Like we were going to California for a month. We went back to Olathe for 3 days, packed up our house, and moved here.
Oh my goodness.
So I remember there was a weekend in May. We came down and we literally just took a drive. And I said, Eddie, we're just going to go driving. Yeah. We knew we didn't want to live very far on the dirt roads.
Yep.
Because we would live from the city. And so,
Yep. Kind of get spoiled.
So we did. We just got in our truck. We left the kids with my mom, and we just started driving. And we drove around to places that I kind of knew. Like there's certain parts of the county that I knew better because I grew up. And then we just started taking a drive anywhere. We just took all the highways that were in town. And where we are right now, we drove by on the highway, and Eddie kind of looked out this direction, and he goes, "What about up there?" And we were out there, and I was like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "Do you know who owns that?" He goes, "No." I was like, "My dad does."
Oh.
So this is literally like all my dad's land, and I knew that. And like I hadn't told him, or, we were just driving by. He's like, "I think that'd be really cool." And I was like, "Well, I'm pretty sure I could convince the owner to sell it to us."
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. And so we did. We stopped. There's a guy across the highway. He's got a drive. So we pulled into his drive because we obviously didn't have a drive here. And we walked through like a mile of grass and got up here to this hill and took a look. And we were like, "Yeah, I think this is it." And that it sounds so weird, but the rest is history. I mean, this is once we kind of found this spot, we didn't look for anything else. We didn't like anything else.
Yeah.
Like this is it. Once we knew this was it, this is it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, did you go to California?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah. So while we were in California, we actually had the roof done on this house because we just wanted to protect. I mean, there was already holes in it. Going in it, you could just see water damage. So we just wanted to make sure that we just need to get at least this roof on so we could be protected. So we actually had our first major project with the roof being done, being 1,700 miles away in California. So we were having, we were having her mom go and drive around. Her niece was just, sending us pictures. "Oh, the roof looks great." And, and then like she said, we got back, Olathe, packed up 3 days, and the next day we were out here marking, with spray paint where we wanted everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Her dad came out and basically kind of mowed the grass area where we wanted. And like I said, spray paint, and then the rest is history. Here we go. So we kind of joke around and say we pretty much got a free house for $1 million view. And I mean,
Yeah.
you can't,
It's true.
you can't beat it. So.
Right. Yeah. So where did you go from there? I mean, I'm sure it had to be so overwhelming, so many things to figure out.
Well, and this whole thing happened so fast, or I don't know, it might not seem fast, but even for us having our 3 little kids, she wasn't a newborn, but our 1-year-old, we had 3 kids, and we got this house in April. We were headed to California in July. We moved here at the end of July to do all this. Everything seemed to be happening so fast.
Yeah.
We didn't have time to list our house in Olathe. We didn't know what we were going to do with that property. Just all these questions that you don't ever think of, and whatever. So yeah. So like Eddie said, we went and saw his family, and we enjoyed that time. And then we came back and we packed up what we could from that house. It was literally just suitcases of clothes at that point, and came up here to my grandparents' farmstead that my family let us rent because they've passed away. And so that's where we stayed. And the day after we moved, we went to the courthouse, signed the document that said, this is our house, like officially signed the agreement. Because it's a free house, there's not really a bill of sale or, like, it's like, how do you prove that this is your house? Or, so we actually hired a lawyer and we came up with an agreement and said, like the hospital had to sign and we had to sign and the lady that was trying to give the house away had to sign. So like we got everybody involved. So that way there's never a question of whose this is. And we signed that the day after we moved. And then called the guy that was going to build the basement, and we started calling the people that were actually going to move the house, and we started demoing. I mean, we literally got my nephew and my two nieces and my brother. Like, I remember that very first week we were here, I think we had all of them helping us in some form, and like it just kind of solidified why we moved here. Because I mean, a week after moving here, we were having so much help from all these people, and the kids, they're all so excited, and it's so funny to see it through their eyes, especially my nieces and nephews that are just a little bit older, because they saw the house, what it looked like before. And it's one of those, like, Aunt Julie and Uncle Eddie, like, that house is a piece of crap. Like they're they're never like, there's no way. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know. It's just one of those, like, when you see it through a kid's mind, it's like, no, they're not. And even for us, it was always really good motivation, because like we want that younger generation to know that like it is possible. It's not like you can take something that looks like this house did, and you can make it into something super nice. And so it's been so fun to see the transformation, because even when they all come over now, it's like, I mean, you can see their bug eyes of like, I remember what this used to be. Like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe it looks like that. So it just having them involved every step of the way. Yeah. I mean, we couldn't really ask for anything more, to be honest. And so, yeah, that's how it's been almost through this whole journey too, which is fun.
So good. Yeah. So did you do all the demo mostly before you moved the house?
Yeah. So that was kind of we didn't really have like a stipulation from the movers on what needed to be demoed. Okay. But we knew that when we walked in, I mean, it's an old house. It was lath, plaster was falling off, where the water damage was. So when they first came and kind of gave us an estimate and, did a tour of the house, our movers, they said, hey, the lightest, possible that would help us out. And so we were like, okay. So, I mean, we grabbed shovels, we grabbed hammers, we grabbed crowbars and sledgehammers, and we're like, all right, let's go. And at first, I think it was just, where do we want, like, we didn't know where to start. So then it was just like demoing, we were just kind of going at it. And then we knew, they said, hey, everything, they had a crawl space, and, back then if a water heater broke, they would just replace it and keep the, old water heater in a crawl space. So we had to like clear everything out. So we just basically started from the bottom up and then worked our way. So it was clear out the basement. Once the basement was cleared, okay, now go to the first floor and demo that, and then, go to the second floor and, start demoing that. So I would probably say about 80 to 85% of it completely demoed before it was moved. Yeah. And then when it was sitting out here on its new foundation, then we finished up.
We had one room, demoing, I think, that left to demo when it finally got out here. But
so when was moving day?
January 12th.
Okay.
Yeah. 2023. So we didn't quite make it till December 31st of 22, and we actually asked the hospital for an extension. Yeah. And of course they granted it because they knew we were serious. Yeah. It's not like we were just going to leave.
Just like any project, nothing goes according to plan. Right. So we had some hiccups with our foundation and delays, and I think that was stressful too, because, we knew we had a timeline, on this contract that we signed. So it was just, okay, what do we do? But everybody's just so nice here, and I think they wanted to see it succeed, that we knew, that extension wasn't really going to be hard to ask for. And finally on that day,
it snowed the night before we moved.
Oh no!
Yeah, more stress.
So it's actually, when they come to move a house, it's a 3-day process. The first day they come and they dig out the foundation under your house, and there's literally, they leave like each of the 4 corners, they leave like one post, and that's it. Other words, your foundation is gone, because they have to put their beams under your house to actually pick the house up. So that's what they do on day 1. Day 2, they come and they put the beams under your house, lift it, and put it on their trailer. Day 3, they wake up and they move your house.
Wow.
So it was between day 2 and 3, and it snowed, and we woke up that morning. I remember looking out, and they were calling for snow, and we looked out, and I was like, oh, please don't let it be a lot. And it had just kind of like a dusting, a light dusting. It was great. And so our movers, they actually live about an hour and a half away, kind of down by Wichita is where they're out of. And he called me that morning. He goes, oh, we got 2 inches of snow down here. Did you get very much? I was like, no, we didn't. So it's like, okay, I know. So he's like, okay, I think we're still a go.
Yeah.
And they came, and about maybe 20 minutes after they were here, if that, I mean, they were here for maybe 10 or 15, started their truck and took our house on the road.
And you have this great video of it being moved, which is so awesome. And it really went viral. I mean, people were like, what? This is so cool.
Yeah. And it is like the route that our house took allowed for a lot of really cool shots too, which was fun. And we knew we wanted to kind of capture all of this, because Eddie's family lives in California and they couldn't be here for it. And so like it was really important for us to be able to capture as much of this experience as we could for the people that couldn't enjoy it with us on that day. And so there's some really cool videos that we have, and we thought they were cool, so we posted them online, and then come to find out hundreds of thousands of other people also thought they were really cool.
Yeah.
So they did. They kind of took off on our social media site, and that's really how we kind of gained some traction with the popularity of our house was from those moving videos.
Yeah. Were you surprised by that response?
Yeah, I mean, I was taken back. I had no idea. I mean, I
that
think
people would,
I mean, we really just did the videos and social media and stuff was for, like she said, it was just for family and friends that couldn't experience this with us.
Yeah.
And then to just see that traction and just keep the ball rolling, it was just, oh my gosh, there's actually people out here that are interested in this stuff. So
which we thought it was really cool. And so it was fun to see that other people thought it was really cool, but it's just not something you really think of.
No.
Yeah. So you've taken everybody on this journey now with you through the whole renovation. And I feel like you creatively repurposed things. Like you kept a lot of the old elements, but you also made it functional for like a family in 2024. So talk about that and kind of how you decided what to keep and what to change and all of those things.
Yeah, I think it really had to do with the fact that like Eddie, he never moved from his childhood home, and I never moved from my childhood home. Like we both came from very stable homes growing up where it felt
like home.
Yeah, it's homey, and like we had all those elements of things growing up, and so we both kind of longed for that with our home. And then also we both just had a passion for this house, and like, not that Eddie doesn't, but me in particular, I love taking those old things and making them new. It's just like, it gives me pure joy. Like I don't know, I just love seeing something that people just like would discard and making it something that people think are cool, or like that I can make useful. And so with this house, like the vanities that were in this house we reused in the bathroom, and all the kitchen cabinets that we were able to save we reused upstairs, and like just all the different things that to most people or to some people it'd be like, oh, like let's get rid of that and get something brand new. And like, no, let's try to save that for cost wise, because like we didn't want to have to go out and buy brand new everything for this house.
Right.
I mean, and then you turn into not only $1 million view, but $1 million house. So like we wanted to save costs everywhere, but also like like I said before, like showing our family and even our kids and stuff. And now we had this platform to kind of show other people, show the world, like you don't have to have something from the store brand new off the shelf to make it useful and functional in your home. Like you can take things that you already have or that have been discarded by somebody else, and you can make them fresh and new in your own way. And we really felt like we kind of had that platform to be able to showcase that kind of stuff. So saving things from the beginning was something we just did, like curtains and like I said before, the curtains and the cabinets and like anything in the house while we were demoing that we felt was even remotely worth saving, we did with the hopes of trying to repurpose it someday. And now we're to that point where we're living here, and it's a lot of fun because I get to go out into our storage container and find things that we saved and start repurposing them like we said we were gonna. So like we're finally to that point where it's fun to do that. And we've done it all along, and it brings us joy.
Yeah. And that's all on your Instagram. So everybody needs to go check out. You've been really creative with some of those ideas. So,
Thanks.
I think the other thing too that we've noticed repurposing is that when we've repurposed it, we've really didn't know the history of it. And once we repurposed a lot of this, and the people that we've met along the way, the relationships that we've built with previous, people that have lived in the house, they're like, oh, I remember that, or, I remember this. And so it's just fun to know that there's a conversation piece now along with what we've repurposed to make it functional for our family.
Yeah.
But that was functional back then for their family or for their mom and dad or for their grandparents. So I think that's been the cool part about it, is that when you repurpose something, you don't know the history until somebody is like, oh, well, I remember that was in my bedroom when I was 10 years old. And it's just cool because that just continues that conversation piece, because when we sit on a bench that maybe is no longer a bench, but we know that someone sat on that for, 10, 15 years, it's just cool to know that when they come back, they can remember that, but it's functional now for our family in 2024.
Yeah. So good. So I'm curious, did you guys do most of this yourselves?
We did, actually. When we started this whole adventure, we didn't know a lot, but we thought we knew a lot. And so we decided to take on quite a bit of stuff ourselves. And also, rural America, like, the good thing is that, like, when you have family and you have people, like, there are resources out there. So like, there have been so many things that people have helped us with that we would never have been able to do because we don't own the equipment, or like we don't have the skill set. But anything that we even remotely thought we could tackle, we really tried, because we wanted this to be our home. And in order for it to really feel like our house, we wanted to have our hands on it. We wanted to know the ins and outs of it and every board. And I can, like, look at that wall and I can know, like, I know what that wall looks like behind the drywall. Like, I know exactly what this house, like, I know where all the wires are. I know where all the plumbing is. Like, just one of those, it's just fun when you put your hands on it. And it helped saved a lot of costs too. We saved a lot of labor costs doing things ourselves, which not everybody's able to do. And that's fine. Like, if you can find somebody to help you with your house, like, go for it. Like, that's fine too. But we were just really passionate about getting dirty and getting our hands on it and showing our kids, like, hey, you can do this. And our nieces and nephews, like, just really setting a good example for them and doing all this. So yeah, a lot of the work that was done in this house, we did ourselves, which we're real proud of.
Good for you. It looks amazing. So along the way, you actually got to film a show for Magnolia Network's show called In with the Old.
Yep.
Yes.
How did that come about? That's so exciting.
So we, like I said, once again, we just, our Instagram and Facebook, just kind of social media, we just did it more for family. And then after, certain posts went viral, we just, one day we got a direct message from a producer that said, hey, we loved your story. We want to get to know you guys more. Can we set up an interview? And at this point, we didn't think anything of it. And so we're like, sure. So he gave us a call and said, hey, I'm so-and-so with, a show called In with the Old. Have you heard of it? And I think we did, but we didn't, we've never watched it. And so he goes, oh, well, here's, it's basically just one episode that they would film your guys' renovation process. And basically they just said, can you send in basically just kind of video of an interview process, basically to see if the Magnolia Network would pick us up. So we were like, sure. So we did an interview, and afterwards he goes, okay, I'll edit it and I'll send it. And then sure enough, we get a call about a month later or so and goes, do you guys want to be on TV? And we're like,
if we say no. Yeah. Well, the crazy thing is that wasn't the only offer we got. We got like 4 different offers from different places to do this and that, and like things that you just don't ever in your life think are going to happen to you. Or, I remember laying in bed that night and looking through our DMs, and I told Eddie, I was like, oh my God, like a TV show wants to do us. Like, was this real life? Like, what's happening? We're just ordinary people out here trying to do our house. It wasn't anything.
But I love how interested people have been in it. It's so cool.
Yes, and it really has allowed for us to be able to like showcase what we did on a larger platform.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's been certain things that I wish were a little different, but like the general picture of being able to show people what we did and stuff. It's so fun to have that out there for everybody to see, because it's just another avenue for people to kind of see what's happening in rural America and to see what's happening here for us, and the fact that we can do it. It's just another like place that people can say, yeah, like if they can do it, maybe we can do it.
Yeah. And so where can people watch?
Yeah, so right now it's streaming on 2 different platforms, Discovery Plus and HBO Max.
Okay.
You can stream In with the Old on either of those 2. We're the very first episode of
Great.
season 5. The episode is titled The Big Green Monster.
Okay.
That is what our house is.
Yeah. Well, I will link to that in the show notes.
Okay.
I just found out about this a couple days ago, so I'm excited to go watch.
Yes.
What advice would you have? Because all these people have been interested. So that tells me there's a lot of people maybe thinking about doing something like this.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you have for those people?
Eddie.
My advice to them would just be, go for it
Yeah.
and not have any doubts in yourself. I think with me, I didn't really necessarily have doubts in myself that we couldn't do it.
You did.
But with me, it was more of I'm not a very patient person and
Okay.
would just like it to be done. And so it would get frustrating, at least on my part, when, certain things wouldn't go, whether it would just be, like I said, the impatient part of me would be like, if a screw didn't go in straight, I would, it would be
we're giving the house away.
my day's done. But I think, this whole process for me really just taught me, that if you want to go for it and live with no regrets. And I think that at the end of the day, that's pretty much what we did we literally came from, Olathe for 3 days, moved and said, now what are we going to do? It wasn't just, we didn't really have a plan. Our plan just kind of kept going as we went. We took it day by day. We had a lot of nights of praying and just saying, okay, breathe and we can get through this. Just take it day by day. And sure enough, 18 months later, we were in our house a week before Christmas, enjoying, hot chocolate, enjoying the view, enjoying the first snowfall outside these beautiful windows. So just everything came together. There was just certain moments that the minute that we stepped into this house and that first night where we were able to wake up with our kids in their bedrooms, that just solidified it. That said, okay, I could do this again if we had to, but also that I'm glad that we did it, because I think if we didn't do this, there would be a ton of regrets. Just saying,
Wow.
man, we missed out on a huge opportunity, not only for Julie and I personally, but our family. Our kids are young enough, like she said, that this is their home for forever, and they're gonna remember this home. Our oldest will probably remember our home in Kansas City, but our 2 youngest definitely are gonna be. This is where they're gonna make the memories and where they're gonna remember the most.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, just if we could give advice to people, it would just be weather the storm. Just hang on and weather the storm, because, like Eddie said, I married the man with absolutely no patience. And he married the woman that probably has too much patience, because I just don't take no for an answer. I'm like, no, we're going to figure it out. I don't really know if there's anything that probably could get me down. I don't know. But we work well together. And maybe that's something too, is find somebody that you can work well with.
Yeah.
Just try not to go into it alone. Try to find somebody that you will work well with. But weather the storm. There's been so many things with this house where it just kind of we got into it and we felt like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do next? Or, it's just it's overwhelming at a certain point. But kind of like Eddie said, we just took it day by day, and it's like, okay, we found this thing and we got it done. And then we found this thing and we got it done. And just kind of small bites. You don't eat the whole cake in one bite. You take little pieces of it. So if there's anything we could tell people, is weather the storm and just kind of take it little by little, and you get there. You get there.
And it's okay to ask for help too. And I think that whether it's family, we were very blessed with family and friends that, like she was saying earlier, we had the resources to get this done. But we also knew that to take our pride out of it, that we wanted this to be our house and we wanted to, get dirty, and we did. But we also knew that, whether it was safety, whether it was a structural thing, that we knew that we had friends and family out there to help us. And so we did. So that would be my other advice too, is that, just don't get to a point where, oh no, what do we do now? And then just stop or quit. Use your resources. And whether it's, family and friends, or if it's just, having to call somebody and say, hey, can you come out and see this? I think that's the thing. It's just, like she said, weather the storm, find somebody that, you can work well with and go for it. we bounced ideas off of each other. There were nights where, she would say, hey, I have to go to the house, and it's going to be a late night. So I knew, okay, I had the kids and, put them, dinner, put them down. And, we knew that technically wasn't necessarily a sacrifice that we had to make. We just knew that, okay, once we get through this process of maybe not seeing each other as much as we want, once we're in this house, we know that it's a project that's probably never ending, but we get to be, but we get to be in the same house together and see each other a little bit more than, when we were one's at a rental house and one's here, demoing until, 10 o'clock at night and the other one's at home. But we just knew that, hey, ultimately our goal is to be here. And we knew that those sacrifices had to be made, and there were really no complaints when we did it.
So good. So now that you're settled here, what do you love most about being part of this community?
I think we love, and it sounds weird, and I said this to somebody the other day, I think we love the opportunities that are out here.
Yeah.
Which sounds weird when you come to a small town, because I think people have this stigma that the big city offers you more than the small town does. But after being here now for a year, and we're finally in our house, it's fun because we get to see all these different things that our kids can get involved in and that we can get involved in. In a way, we feel like this small town life that we're living, and being back here, we actually have more opportunities to do things.
Yep.
Wow. There's so many opportunities to get on different boards in town that can help actually make a difference doing stuff. And being involved in our church, we're both very involved in our church now, and we have certain positions that we have filled there, and our daughter's in soccer, and we've got a kid in, both of our kids are in school now. And there's just so many things that, like I said, it sounds weird when you say it, but moving back to small town living has actually allowed for more involvement, and I just feel like we're included more.
It's the connections. It's the connections too. Julie, Julie, went to school for, having a business degree, and, her talking and them kind of knowing that background, then she's been able to, volunteer at a couple of entrepreneur, judging, kids that are, making projects and kind of lending her advice. So I think that's the biggest thing. It's just new opportunities. And like she said, when we know people, then, they're thinking of us oh, hey, do you want to come do this? Or, hey, would you like to be involved in this? So it's just been a lot better than what we've envisioned. Because I think being in a big city, we probably wouldn't be involved in it as much as we were now.
I think that big city life, if you find something you're passionate about, that's kind of your avenue. If you have this one thing that you want to get involved in, it takes a lot of time and effort. But that's probably your one thing you do. When you come out here, and we've learned already, just being here a year, you can be involved in an array of different things. And to the point of where you get to meet all these people, and we're starting to finally get to feel like we know the community better. And it's so funny because I moved back to Lincoln. I'm from Lincoln, but it's so funny because even after being here for a year and a half, I'll see people and I'll be like, I know your face, but I
do the same
think
thing.
I know your name.
Yes, I do the same thing.
And it's so fun because Eddie, he always when we first moved here, he's like, oh man, you have the advantage because you know people and you know places and whatever. And now I'm I think he has the advantage because he's completely a new person. So when people meet him, it's hi, this is so-and-so. When I meet them, there's the pressure of do you know them? Do you not know them?
Yeah. What's your name?
Yes. But no, getting involved and doing all these different things has really allowed for us to start seeing those faces over and over, and just meeting your community and getting to know what's important to the people here in the community, and what do people want to see change, and what do we want to see changed, and what would help our community grow. And I mean, there's just so many things that you ask yourself. If we were living in Olathe, I really don't think I would ever be sitting at home telling Eddie, what do you think we could do to help Olathe grow? Literally, I don't think that that's something you wouldn't sit there and say, what do you think you could do to help Kansas City, Kansas grow? It's just not something the average person sits around and thinks about. But when you move to a small town, it's so fun because those are things that what you do can have a huge impact on your community and how things thrive and happen. So
absolutely. Yeah. So what's next for you guys?
Good question. Like I said, when we moved here, we really knew that this house was not, if you want to call it our end game. No. I don't know. We knew that this house was the reason we moved here. And this has been our full-time job, and this has been our passion and our lives for the last year and a half. But we do have our eyes set on some bigger things. Like, we want, exactly like what I just said, we want to figure out what can we do to help our community grow and to thrive again, and to just, to be a living thing. Small towns are dying, and that's just something that we're so sad. It's so sad to see. And
it is. Yeah.
we hate driving downtown on a certain day and seeing that there's nobody in town. Like, what can we do to kind of help build that up and help make a change? And so those are the things we've been asking ourselves. So I don't know, there's so many things that we could do and things we've been thinking about. So I don't know. Stay tuned.
Well, stay tuned. Yeah. So good.
I think also, like, the platform that we built on this, surrounding this house.
Yeah.
We've gotten a lot more attention than I think we've wanted, but we're running with it.
Yeah.
And I think that in small towns, there could be people that are doing exactly what we're doing it, but on a more smaller scale, or maybe even just a private scale, where they're just, renovating an old house and moving into it, and that's it. But like she said, this house is a lot more than just our forever home. We have a bigger picture, but it's just to kind of show people, like, if you want to do something, go for it. It doesn't have to be in a big city. I mean, it could be in your small town, to where somebody sees that and says, "Oh, wow, you redid this barn. Like, can I store something in it?" And it just kind of goes from there. I think, we see a lot of, driving through, Lincoln, we see a lot of empty buildings that, what Julie and I are saying, okay, what can we do? How can we maybe pressure people to say, hey, do you have any plans with this? And maybe get together with them and say, hey, I think this would be, I think this would be nice with, and knowing, and I think the biggest thing is to show people, like, they're not alone.
Yeah.
So if they have an idea, like, share it. And you're going to have people that are going to back you, and don't be scared to, because there are. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me, being kind of looking on the outside in, never being here from Lincoln, and it's not a bad thing because you get that anywhere, is that when someone does have an idea that may not vibe with somebody else's, they're very easy to maybe just shut it down or not give their full commitment to it. And I think that's where we kind of see that dying of small towns, because they could have an idea, and then, it takes one person to say, maybe not. And then they just get shut down. And I think that's hard, is that, with us, we probably had, plenty of people to say, there's no way you guys are going to do this house. There's no way, and I mean, personally, my dad never, like, admitted it until he saw this house, but he walked in and then he just kept telling,
he's a doubter,
I never envisioned you guys doing this, but it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But we didn't have to do anything physically, or talk to him personally to say, no, this is what we're doing. We just showed what we could do.
Yep.
And then when he saw it, it was like, oh my goodness. Same thing with my family back home. They weren't here day in and day out to see what we were doing. But when they saw that final picture, they were like, man, you guys really did it. And that's what it takes, just to show people, like, you can do it, and don't take, like she said, she's not going to take no for an answer from anybody.
Yeah.
So, we just did it. But I think that's for anybody, even if they're wanting to open up a small business, go for it, and drift, or, go towards the people that are going to support you, and the ones that aren't, that's okay too.
Yeah. Leave them in the dust.
But maybe eventually they're going to change. Yeah. Maybe then they'll turn over and say, oh, wow, that was actually a great idea. And I'm sorry that, that it didn't work out in the beginning, but you changed my mind.
Yeah. And thanks for pushing through and actually doing it.
Yeah.
So good. Well, I can't wait to keep following and seeing what that all looks like. So, guys, thanks for being on the podcast.
Yes. No, thank you.
Thanks for having us. It's been fun.
It was awesome.
Yes. Well, what a fun project and a fun conversation. We share a similar part of our story where COVID was the catalyst to getting us back to our hometowns. And I know we're not alone in that. So it is nice to see some good things come out of that season. Be sure to go check out Eddie and Julie's episode on In With the Old and follow along with them on social media. And you can find all of that in the show notes. I'm really excited to see what happens next for them. As always, thanks to you for tuning in, and thanks to Eddie and Julie for being on the podcast. Have a great day, everybody.